clickety, clickety clack. And if all is well, we should be live. I hate how they constantly change shit on YouTube. I mean, it used to be so much straightforward, but yeah, once again. Anyway, hello good people on the interwebs, and tonight I have with me Cheshire Cat. Most people in the chat might not remember him, but Cheshire was one of the people I used to have on Hangouts back in the days, together with lots of people, Magnus.
Yeah, pretty much right at the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
As far as I remember.
Yeah. Long time ago. And then real life happened to him. I wasn't important enough for him. There you go.
Oh, charming. No, I decided to take a break from the internet because I was like, I need to stop being a complete neat and get off my arse and actually go earn money and do things. But no, as I've expressed to you in private, I am sorry that I never did explain things properly before I vanished into the ether.
Nah, mate, you don't have to explain anything. You're not on my payroll, are you?
No.
Yeah, there you have it then. It's supposed to be fun. And
although this live stream is sponsored, so we are going to have to tell you boys and girls about Raid Shadow Legends.
Right, okay. I never played that game.
No.
Everyone is talking about it. I never played that. By the way, guys, is the sound now more equal?
Well, I have to.
And hi there, Sean Lurty.
Then.
Yeah, because oh, wait a second,
Right.
I gotta change something.
Yeah, the levels seem all right.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure. I mean, I should be roughly the same, but I don't know. And hi there, Green Badger. Actually, I haven't said hi to everyone. Hi there, John. Hi there, Michael. Hi there, Ludicrous. And hi there, Sean Lurty. New name for me, but welcome to the stream. And hi there, Green Badger Outdoors. I hope you guys will hang around long enough. I know that Honey Badger Radio will be streaming in a moment as well. I'm sorry for that. I know I still have to figure out a different time frame. I may or may not. Who knows? But yeah, okay. I'm going to introduce Cheshire a little bit. Cheshire used to be steady on the stream back in the days. And, well, not too long ago, he said to me, oh, you know what? I might want to pop on again, talk about a few things. And I said, hell yeah.
Yeah, this was mainly triggered by the whole Twitch ambassador shit show that recently gone on, and is probably still going on. Honestly, I tried to keep away from the story so I don't break windows and scream at the top of my lungs, because it is, in my mind, it's not merely that it is just a problem. It just seems more of a symptom of a wider issue in our society that we've yet to really address fully. That being how do we address the sort of monopolies that we have to deal with both here on the internet and in real life, as well as political subversion over things such as COVID and the flat out authoritarian lockdown procedures we've gone under, and just a sort of general dumbing down and sheepification, I would say, of society. Just make up words for you.
No, I agree. I mean, I know people like to think that if you're not okay with the whole corona bullshit, oh, well, then you must be a Nazi at least. But there's so much that is simply not true, that we're being pushed as real, that's constantly proven to be not true. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, we needed to lock down for 2 weeks, which was highly dubious in my humble opinion back in the day. The funny thing is, all countries went into lockdown well after the virus was in the country.
No, exactly.
So yeah, there is that problem, obviously. But And then we went on a lockdown. We flattened the curve, and now we have to stay in lockdown longer. Why?
Well, this is the thing. It's at the most charitable, it's an overgross reaction to what's gone on. At worst, I believe it's either a ploy to sort of, I don't know, it's either to throw shade on the sort of current political climate, i.e., like with Trump's economy actually doing well. It's just funny enough that it's suddenly collapsed, during the lockdown. And how like conservatives are basically trying to, sort of get our country here in England back together and continue the economy, whereas sort of Labour MPs, staunch Labour MPs, are coming out and basically saying, no, this is a terrible idea. We need to expand the lockdown and keep it going for even longer.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, by the way, Ludicrous, do not capitulate to the virus of peace. Dude, that needs a sticky. That's just bloody brilliant. But the thing is, I mean, if we look at the economy in America, okay, well, Trump picked it up and it was going a lot better than it was going under Obama, even though Obama said that it was impossible to repair the economy. Then the virus happened. Now the American economy is worse than it was around the era of the Depression. Okay, that's almost 100 years ago, so I understand people not remembering it, but fair enough. But it's not just America that has this problem. Because if we look in any European country at this point in time, all of these countries are basically destroying themselves.
Yeah, this is... Okay, as a little bit of preface, my fiance supports the EU. Because I really know how to pick my women.
Yeah.
But anyway, I said to her, isn't it funny how when this all struck, there was all sorts of like news articles and things coming out about like, for example, filter masks being seized in Calais by the French border guards, and like armored convoys were being sent by Russia to deliver them to places like Turkey and things like that. And it just comes across as the great problem of the European Union that it devours its own.
Yeah.
When worse comes to worse.
But there's so much things. I mean, we blindly are told to believe in our politicians. We are blindly told to believe in the European Union and the United Nations and the World Health Organization. And each and every one of those institutions has betrayed us. Not just a little bit, but massively. And we pretend that's not the case.
I
mean,
it's incredible. It's not even like... Because when you think of somebody who would fall in that kind of... As you said, people are just blindly following it. You'd think maybe that they were smart enough, like a sort of an intellectual level, to be not so easily hoodwinked by this. But I've seen very smart people just jump on the bandwagon, like the lockdown, stay safe, stay alert, fucking bandwagon. It really annoys me to my core as like a sort of going full-on right-wing Republican.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, Ludicrous, you're on a roll, mate. Yes, the Chinese Health Organization. You're completely correct.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. I mean, well, the sickness can't spread between humans. Well, yeah, it can. Yeah, but not through the air. Well, the World Health Organization had that message out, and I'm pretty sure if we look at Twitter now, we might still find the original message because they didn't take it down.
Oh no, of course they're not.
If it doesn't spread between people, how the fuck is it spreading so fast? And in all fairness, it's not spreading as fast as a lot of people proclaim, because I can still remember that by now we should have had 2 million deaths, even including the social distancing bullshit.
Oh, of course. That's the funny thing, isn't it, Modwayne? If you were to post that on Twitter, you'd get silenced immediately. But the World Health Organization posting what is ostensibly bald-faced fucking lies, that's just fine.
Yeah, but
and that's
my
problem
the
with
norm.
monopolies.
if they lie, they are the norm. Twitter is blocking accounts. YouTube is blocking accounts based on whether you go against what the World Health Organization says. But it's even funnier. You get blocked by repeating what the World Health Organization said, yet it contradicts what they are pushing now. Therefore, you're contradicting the World Health Organization now. But they didn't take back what they said then.
It has... I hate to be that guy and pull up, the reference to it, but it does really reek of 1984's The Ministry of Truth.
It does.
In that, literally, the whole premise of it is that we lie about both the history and the present, and it can change it at a whim.
Yeah.
And that's what Twitter's slowly becoming. And I just want to quickly address John Banton about those people being smart. I'm talking about people who are like middle class sort of financial experts, people who I know have bought like the finest caviar and dine and have like massive houses, those kinds of people, which in my mind I wouldn't think they'd be so easily like hoodwinked by the sort of propaganda, considering like the person I can think in specifics has actually worked like with other like government bodies here in the UK before. So I always assumed he must have some sort of idea, a general idea at least, that politicians aren't easily trusted.
Yeah, you'd expect that. But it's and there are so many stories at the moment that go out and constantly proves, because people make light of the 1984 reference, but the left is doing just that time and time again. They are basically denying what they did and then claim, no, that wasn't us, that was them. Look at the whole Me Too narrative going on around Joe Biden at the moment. I mean, there are actual American outlets that now say that the Me Too movement, believe all women, is right-wing rhetoric. Right-wing rhetoric. How is that right-wing? That's the whole Me Too movement from the very get-go. And at the beginning, it wasn't even just about Kavanaugh. It was about all men, obviously.
Of course.
And now it's a right-wing thing.
Yeah. Well, that's because they are literally reading from Saul Alinsky's Rule for Radicals at this point.
Yeah.
They're just muddying the waters so much that you can't tell where they actually stand on things.
No, I fear you may be correct on that one.
And this is like my general sort of worry and stress about the way things are going, because I just can't make sense of the world anymore with everything that's gone on.
It makes you wonder why these things are happening, or at least it makes me wonder why these things are happening. Okay, guys, let me know if you can hear a plane coming over. No, that's ridiculous. But I just turned on my ventilator because I'm melting here. So if it's too noisy, let me know in the chat. So I can turn it off again later. But I need to cool down a bit.
Oh yeah.
No, but it's
cooling off with a nice glass of rum. Just
yeah, that'll do too. Some ice cubes
anyway,
in there.
Continue.
No, but there's something really strange, and it comes back in nearly all of these storylines. It's the COVID one, it's the Me Too one, it's the environmental one. It's all about do as we say, don't do as we do. And how dare you not say as we say? I don't get this.
That's the sort of nature of intellectual politics, though. As in, like, sort of the way, again, the way sort of George Orwell described them as the intellectuals. They're the sort of people who, are hypocrites to the core and don't realize it. But it's just like, well, the maddest thing to me is places like Arizona, in which, like, Californians are literally voting for such horrible laws and policies to go through that it's destroyed their state. So they're now moving to Arizona and repeating their mistakes over again.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just like,
I like what Green Badger says. I mean, they have no principle, only tactics. And apparently that's a quote from Don the Pleb. I like Don the Pleb. He's been here a few times as well. People should check out his stream as well. And yeah, but it's true. They don't have principles.
no, nobody who argues the way they do has solid principles.
And I agree with you, Michael Keller. Those who ever wondered how the Nazis could get to power and do what they did should look at what the left is doing now. Because that is the truth.
Oh yeah, again, this is arguments I've had in like real life as well over like the whole horseshoe theory thing.
Yeah.
In terms of like whether fascists and communists are just two sides of a horseshoe. I don't personally believe that. I think they both inhabit the same side of the aisle.
Well, in Europe we don't have right-wing politicians. I mean,
God, no.
People like to think that, oh, but they're right wing. Okay, who's right wing? Well, Boris Johnson. Yeah, Boris Johnson isn't right wing. I mean, he might be conservative and etc. 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 But he's not right wing.
Yeah, he may have. This is like like some Republicans in America. They may have an R after their name, but that doesn't mean their politics are anything resembling the Republican sort of base.
Yeah.
And that's, again, another thing I hate about British politics. Every party is too afraid to actually go in the direction of what their party's ideal is supposed to be, if that makes sense. Like, with the biggest weakness that Conservatives have right now is that they don't properly engage with Labour on an ideological basis in the sort of, like... I think they need to have a thorough line, like the Republicans do, of, you know, like, God, guns, and liberty, pretty much.
Well, anything, really. I mean...
Yeah, but the Conservatives are so... I'll keep it PG just in case, so YouTube doesn't decide to censor you out of existence. But they just are so bafflingly afraid of engaging on that basis, just so they don't, like, I don't know. They want to play to the middle to make themselves as palatable to everyone as possible, but that just ends up watering down what you were actually doing in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like that famous idiom, a camel is a horse designed by committee. That's what the Conservative Party is now. They've gone so far away from being conservative to appease everyone that they're not conservatives anymore.
No, and that's the real problem. And I think the term used is oikophobia. People don't like their own culture anymore, so they try to turn away from their own culture as much as they can, just to prevent for not being called some kind of ist or ob.
But see, I know exactly what you're on about, but luckily for me, like, if you couldn't guess from my name, I live in the area of Cheshire, and just a stone's throw over the River Mersey is Liverpool. Now, that area is pretty much a hotbed for sort of communistic, left-leaning voters. Well, it's down here, the majority still votes Labour, but that's more out of, like, a North FC sort of how to describe it. It's more of like a loyalty thing instead of an actual I like where this party's going.
That's true for a lot of people voting on a political scale. A lot of people vote for the political party their parents voted for until the moment they decide not to, and then they never do again. People don't vote on issues.
Yeah.
They don't understand the issues. They don't even look further. And it's amazing. I'm scary a little bit, to be honest.
It is. It is, and it also kind of like is reassuring in a slight way. Not so much that they just vote for the same people their parents did, but it's more of like a. The reason I think everybody votes Labour around here is because, like, it's It's not like this now, but it used to be the party of the working class, and they did sort of really help out the sort of northwest and north of England, which is why I think Boris Johnson really needs to, if he can't engage with Labour on an ideological basis, like I said, I reckon it'd probably be his strongest strategy for the Conservative Party. I think what they really need to do is honour the sort of pledge to help out the north of England more. Not that they'll do it, because I wholeheartedly believe they've just sort of said that to win votes instead of following through, but that's the nature of politics, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. People need to realize what's going on.
Mm.
And somehow people... Yes, Michael, people vote in line with tradition. That's probably the best way of saying it.
No, exactly. My area, unfortunately, is a traditionally Labour voting area. But the thing that baffles me is if you actually went through the streets, I'd literally have to do this sometime. If I went through the streets with a microphone and went up to people and asked them about Labour policy, they'd either not be able to name them, and if I named them, they'd say, hang on, that's an actual policy. Well, I'm not voting for them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I hate to break it to the sort of extreme lefties and the sort of like trans community level people. A lot of people are surprisingly more conservative than you'd realize.
Yeah.
Mainly because it comes from like, I don't know. You can have the most left-wing person here as possible, but they still believe in the dynamic of man and a woman. They don't mind gays, but it's man and a woman getting married and having children.
Yeah, traditionalism is... But you're not allowed to be in favor of traditionalism. And we go back to the term oikophobia.
Yeah, exactly. Was it... I'm trying to think what that country is now. Maybe it was Poland or somewhere else. That they actually did go for like pro-family policies, and the birth rate kind of shot up quite dramatically.
Hungary was that?
Oh, Hungary was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I knew it was in that sort of ballpark region of East Europe.
Yeah, it was, or it is. And they did do a good job. Now, obviously, people are complaining because how dare you? But
yeah, but then again, that's sort of. It goes more into the whole strategy of whether we're going to import a population or actually grow one here, which kind of rockily brings us onto the whole rape scandal over here. Now, my thoughts on it is that it is literally just being delayed. The report, that is, for anyone that doesn't know, the British public basically have demanded this in the form of petition. The head of the civil service here, or at least one of the heads, was fired by Priti Patel because he basically fought her at every step of the way to try and stop the report from coming out. I wholeheartedly believe it's probably due to it showing the massive ineptitude and how much they've let down the British public. And the backlash from it would probably be immense. This would be just from like the sort of stretched out myriad of reports that you get every now and again of like 20,000 or so girls raped here or there, and like in Rotherham or in Rotherham or Manchester or other places like that. I think it could be on the level of like the phone hacking scandal that happened years and years ago. Which is, for those that don't know, basically, oh God, what was her name? I forget now, but a little girl had basically been kidnapped and murdered. However, the police didn't know that she'd been murdered and were tracking her cell phone. Unbeknownst to them, reporters had actually managed to get a hold of her phone through software, not the actual physical phone, and had basically been pinging it and like searching through it for information to put in their articles, falsely, the pings themselves, basically, the police could track and falsely believe that the girl was still alive because of it, and were telling the family such until her body turned up.
Yeah.
After that, there was a massive inquiry into all these news organizations. And now, if anyone's caught hacking a phone or any sort of online organization, that's it.
But I never understood that, because even at the time, hacking phones was illegal. And they didn't pick up on that.
No. This is like the British police we're talking about. They're not exactly on the ball, let's put it.
Yeah. It makes you wonder what their job then is. It's the same thing, though, because people like to say, well, yeah, but if we act out on the Rotherham rape gang and the Telford rape gang and God knows how many more. I mean, they were talking about, what, 30,000 girls?
Something in excess of that, probably.
And
we don't know the actual figures because they won't release the actual figures.
True, could be more. And they're like, well, we're afraid to tell people because then there might be rioting in the streets and ethnical violence and blah blah blah. And I'm like, isn't that just the reason why you act and bring back the rule of law and protect these girls? Because let's be honest, most of these people are of a certain religion. Let's not name that religion of peace, but most of them are of a certain religion. But not everyone of that certain religion agrees with what's happening. Most of these are from a certain country that used to be part of the Commonwealth. But not everyone from that country agrees with it. But by not naming things, by not coming forward, what they're doing is they let people figure it out for themselves. And they're going to say, well, yeah, it's a Pakistani that did it, therefore all Pakistani.
Oh, Ludacris did bring up a fairly decent point about the phone hacking scandal. It sort of was hidden under the guise of journalism and sort of, freedom of the press.
Yeah, but there is a difference between freedom of the press and hampering in an investigation, because that's what they were doing.
Oh, no, exactly. Whether inadvertently or not, that's still what happened.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's it. It's just awful that all these forces seem to conspire these days, and it's hard not to be completely black-pilled about it with everything that's going on.
Yeah, and how dare you mention this? How dare you recognize this? I don't understand this. How dare we not do something about that? I mean, what a lot of people don't understand, if we look, for example, in the Rotherham debacle, I forgot the name of the person that wanted to have a thorough investigation. Wasn't it Javid?
Yeah, Javid Majid, is it? I'm trying to remember his name. I believe it's something along those lines. It probably
it was a Pakistani man. Okay, he was Pakistani man, English, and he was part of the English government. But yeah, okay, he also had a background of Pakistan. Yet he still wanted this figured out, and he wanted it addressed, and he wanted it to be taken care of. So how can we then say, well, we can't do it because people might hate Pakistani men? No,
because it doesn't fit the narrative. That's it.
That is it. How dare
That's
you show this?
Overall what it is. That's why oh god, everybody probably knows him right now. One of the biggest one of my favorite YouTubers that I watch non-stop is Razor Fist. And he had a similar point about this when it came to the Joe McCarthy hearings and things like that. And the fact that they covered up a lifelong Democrat union man who was actually the first one to sort of come out and say, investigate the communist interference into Hollywood. But nobody, really widely knows his name now because they fucking buried him. Sorry, just screwed up your demonetization.
That's all right.
But they basically covered him up in favor of painting McCarthy as this like evil villain.
Yeah, but it came
And
from
that I
somewhere.
feel happens quite a lot nowadays as well. It's that the media sort of picks these targets to paint in red to get the bull to charge at them, just so they can avoid having the real target exposed.
Yeah. And as if anyone is helped by this. I don't get this. Because all we are doing is destroying our cohesion, our society.
No, exactly. But the thing is, that is happening, don't get me wrong, but in smaller sort of... You can only see that if you actually look at it on a wider scale. A lot of people, I've noticed, just don't. They sort of like closed in and just locked into their own lives and not like looking at what's going on around them. And it just like... It gives me anxiety because I think, Jesus Christ, you people are going to be swallowed up by like a crocodile that you're not even aware of yet.
Yeah. Well, we are undermining our society. Let's call it that. And I don't understand this. I don't understand why we're doing it or who is pushing the narrative.
What I don't understand is the deconstructionist nature of it all. It's like with the pre-stream chat that we just had, we brought up the whole topic of like even naming ourselves liberals or libertarians or anything like that because the terms are so muddied now.
Yeah,
that's part of the problem with like this whole deconstructionist thing of like the left, the right, whoever you want to say is doing it, the eponymous they, have deconstructed and co-opted so much stuff now that we can't even use our own language to fight against the current problems we have. And that's the most scariest thing to me, is that our free speech is being co-opted and deconstructed in a sort of effort to like bring us down as a society for reasons that are as ever like sort of baffling as they are. Well, it's just baffling reasons. I can't even like formulate the sentence to describe it. It's that baffling to me.
Yeah. Well, it is the whole thing about 1984. Words get new meaning, and if you still think that words have the same meaning as they used to, then you can't partake in the discussion because they talk about something else than you do.
No, exactly. Well, one of the small sort of premises of that, small sort of side stories in that book is the Ministry of Truth is actually trying to invent a new language that prevents any form of rebellious thought and like anything that doesn't go with the current narrative.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like now.
Yep.
But I just hope there's more pushback than what there is.
Yeah, it's a good thing that, for example, if we look in America, there's Trump, and if we look in Great Britain, there's Boris Johnson. And in all fairness, Priti Patel, even though these people aren't right-wing, they're not nationalists, but they are for the rule of law, which is already a lot better than what we have. And in the
it's baby steps, at least.
Yeah. It's the first step into the right direction. And in the Netherlands, we have people like Thierry Baudet.
Right. Okay.
These are the first steps, but they are the exception because politicians will try to do whatever they can to maintain their power. So people like, I mean, it's a miracle maybe to say that okay, Trump won and in England, Boris Johnson won. But these are still, I mean, even though they won, they can't really do much. They talk a big game, but they can't really do much.
No, exactly. That's why you don't believe any campaign promises that are made before the person's elected. Maybe if he says it afterwards, you've got a little bit more. In fact, even then, I just don't trust anything, no matter what politician it is. Yeah. The only reason I even liked Trump because it was just like, I don't know. It's just like throwing a spanner into the works.
Yeah.
And that's what I think his core appeal was.
And I hope he'll. I mean, it's a good thing that he started working on the wall and all that. But yeah, it's only the first step of a pattern that needs to be filled, and it's not really being filled.
I think the UK needs a wall. It used to be the English Channel, but it just isn't working anymore.
John and I used to have a stream a long time ago that it might be a good idea to build a wall around London.
Oh no, definitely.
Maxim guns on it and acid moat around it.
Oh, yeah. It is literally like, no, I'd want it to be like Escape from LA, that sort of level of just literally dumping people into an open air prison.
Wow.
That's what London's pretty much became anyway without the walls. It's just unfortunate that, like, do you know what I think would be a slightly better policy? I don't know how sort of efficient it is, and it might even be completely redundant for here, but I feel like politicians should actually live in the areas they represent.
Yeah.
Because it's very London-centric.
No, I totally agree with you.
And like, I think that's a lot of the problems that people are having. Like, in terms of them not actually, like the MPs and politicians themselves, not actually being on the same page as the sort of working class and the public in general, is because of that, because they're so insulated in London.
Yeah. Yeah, could very well be true.
But on a lighter note, do you like eating grass in your backyard?
I don't have a backyard, so that's my thing, I guess. But
yeah, the whole Twitch fiasco is like,
yeah.
I mean, you could see it coming down the rocks, don't get me wrong. It's like with every other monopoly, we've got like, well, Google. I was going to say YouTube, but YouTube is an extension of Google now. We've got Twitch, Twitter, everything like that. It's just coming to a head now where...
Yeah, it's all going down the same way. It makes you wonder why they go that way, but yeah, you can't...
I know, it's... I have to assume... Because people say, oh, I don't know, it's more of a... What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, it's a marketing strategy, maybe, in terms of like having Twitch ambassadors, because their whole thing is we want like this sort of diverse crew that can appeal to everyone and blah, 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 blah. But I think that was more, like in everything to do with like politics and human interaction, that was more of an influence of the people around you rather than the actual broader society that you're catering to. In terms of like Twitch, it's like with Twitch, I imagine like it was 3 people sat in a boardroom with like,
makes
just
you
discussing new plans.
Oh, seriously? Oh yeah, well this guy is a girl and a deer, so let's make this person.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally this person is both a gear. Oh my god, I'm drinking too much. A girl and a deer person. Therefore, they're in 2 marginalized communities, and I've heard that's a very good thing for popularity, according to our near commissariat sort of office worker.
The thing I found most interesting is that it's a boy who can then transition to a girl, and now he identifies as a deer, but he has antlers. Well, girl deers don't have antlers.
Yeah, no, that's... Yeah. Do you know what? It's one of those small details that I noticed, but I could never connect the dots as to why it was even weirder.
Well, yeah, true that.
But no, you're right. That's just... Oh.
Well.
It just, like... To me, it just screamed like this is the full degeneration of our society happening right before our eyes.
True that. True that. Anyway, considering most people have decided to be quiet. And we are more or less repeating ourselves.
We can end the stream here if you'd like, or going on to another subject.
Yeah, I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but I can hereby already extend your invitation for next time.
Yeah, of course. Like I said to you, it was more of a... I had originally more planned it to be like jump in on a proper stream and then just sort of have a mild rant and talk about something else.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'd definitely join another stream with you and actually have like a more structured thing to it.
Well, I'll have to think about a good topic.
Yeah, I'll definitely do some research and have a look for a decent enough topic that everyone's going on about and sort of put some more thought into it. But right now, this is literally me just going off like Mussolini from the balcony, just ranting to the 5 remaining people that are still here because Honey Badger's just started up.
Yes, I think that's the case. So yeah, I'm going to call it quits for now.
I saw a few people jump out earlier saying sort of, oh, I'm going to jump ship now because HBR's starting up.
Yeah.
John and Ludacris. Oh, no. Excuse me. John and... Who else?
I don't know.
Oh, no, I think it was just John. Anyway.
I think Michael went there too, and Green Badger probably too. So.
Yeah, there was a few. But yeah.
That's a good
definitely more structured thing. And I am back now, at least.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. But are you also back to make your own YouTube stuff?
I don't know. Right now, I've got a lot of things going on. Well, actually, no. I'm like everybody else. I haven't got anything going on, so I probably could sort of put it together. A lot of it takes... I don't know whether you get this in terms of like making YouTube videos yourself, but a lot of the time when I'm editing, I'm just like... I'd sort of doubt myself quite a lot during the editing process, where it's just like, I don't think this is good. Maybe this joke doesn't land as well. I always end up second guessing myself to the point that I never get it fully put out.
Yeah, I don't have that problem, but I find it difficult to motivate myself to keep making stuff because I've been busy for a few years and my channel doesn't really get bigger. That's true, but at the same time, I think I've addressed everything at least a few times. So it's difficult to keep bringing back the same points over and over and over again.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, what's the alternative? To not say anything? But does that change anything? No, it doesn't. So.
Well, that's it. It's just a case of like, I don't know. You can keep belaboring the same points. That's why I kind of dropped out of like more I still sort of keep track of some political videos.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've mentioned, I watch, the Razorface crowd or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mainly dropped out because it is turning, and for me, it's kind of like its own echo chamber on YouTube where everybody keeps belaboring this sort of point that like the extremist left have gone too far and we need to stop it.
Yeah.
But it's just like nothing ever fully gets resolved. So I'm just wondering, where do we go from here?
Yeah, no, that's kind of my issue too. Where do we go?
I hope things do get better because we are on sort of small baby steps there. And I mean, with the whole Keir Starmer thing, that's going to be absolutely hilarious when the English Parliament sort of reconvenes. Because you've probably seen it if you like watch Sargon or anyone like that. All of the front bench is literally like the most craziest left-wing supporters you can think of.
Yeah, and I still don't understand that there are people who are actually in favor of Labour when you hear the nonsense that comes out of their mouths.
Literally, the only thing it's incredible. The only thing that really stopped people voting for them, like sort of the die-hard Labour voters, I'm saying, not like the sort of traditional voters, because they dropped off sort of during the whole Brexit thing. But the more
Well,
The
Brexit,
more
Brexit,
sort of die-hard communist Labour supporters dropped off more because of the anti-Semitic stuff rather than like the actual points of, just crazy things. Like we're giving free internet to everybody.
yeah, but I mean, hell, even the Brexit thing. Labour was in favour of Brexit for the longest time. And then all of a sudden they weren't.
Oh no, of course not.
And
But that's the problem, isn't it,
notice
Modwayne? It's just politics is more about lies than it is telling the truth. That's why Oswald Mosley and oh god, what's the left wing guy? His name escapes me, but their careers ended the moment they tried to speak any sort of truth.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that might be a nice topic for next time. But considering that there's only about 4 people watching now, I guess 5, it's a good time to call it quits. Thank you everyone for watching. Cheshire, thank you very much for joining me.
It's my pleasure, Modwayne. I'm glad to be back, to be honest. It's nice to be able to talk about these things again.
Yeah, and as always, you're more than welcome to rejoin me again. And I think this is where I'm going to press the button to say bye-bye to everyone. Now, first, I'm pressing this button, and then I'm
Take care, everyone.
Yeah, be good, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye-bye.